Have you ever been to a steel factory? Yeah, me neither. But I do have a picture in my mind of one looks like when they pour that molten steel into the mold and they make a steel beam or whatever that is that they're creating. What if your life was like that? You make a mold of whatever you want, and the universe says, all right, where do you want me to pour the steel? Today, we're going to talk about creating the mold of what you want. Welcome to Everyday a New Thought. I am Thor Challgren, and today I want to talk about creating the mold of what you want in life. If you've ever been to a steel factory, like I have not, then maybe you've seen the movie Terminator 2, where the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, gets lowered into this giant cauldron of steel. That's what I'm talking about, that big cauldron that has liquid steel. I'm not sure what you call it. Maybe you've seen a commercial or an episode of Game of Thrones where they pour the liquid steel into the mold of what they want. Like maybe they're making a sword, a tool, an implement, and they pour it in there. And when it cools, it becomes that thing. Well, we can think about our lives this way, where we are creating the mold of what we want. And imagine that above us is this giant cauldron of liquid that the minute we create the mold, the universe just says, all right, let me pour my liquid into your mold and you'll get what you want when it cools. In the Science of Mind book, Ernest Holmes writes that he talks about this metaphor of a mold that liquid iron is poured into. And he says the mold is the thoughts that you have. You create that mold, that form, based on what you think about and what you want to bring to life. And he then says that the universe or consciousness or God, whatever you want to call it, then pours in the liquid. You don't have to do that. Just imagine, like I said, that there's this giant cauldron of liquid iron ready to pour into whatever you create the mold for. He says that if we want a certain good, then we have to instill in our own minds a realization of the specific thoughts of good. And then, and this is where the mold comes into place, that it's going to be filled by the substance necessary for the complete manifestation of that good in our lives. So how do you do this? Well, imagine, like I said, that you have a giant cauldron above you. We can think of this as the universe, the quantum field, where everything that we want exists in liquid form, ready to pour into whatever mold we create. So if you want a better job, you create the form of what that looks like. You imagine what that is. You create the visual representation, the mental equivalent of it, and imagine that in a mold in front of you. Maybe if you want a better relationship, create the mold for that. If you want to live somewhere else, if you want anything in your life, create the mold for it. Create the container for the quantum field to pour that into. The great news in this is all you have to do is create the mold. The universe, the quantum field, God has everything else possible. There is an infinite supply of liquid possibility that is waiting to fill your mold. So today, start creating the mold, because there is a giant cauldron above you waiting to give you whatever your form is equal to. Thank you for watching today's episode. I invite you, if you love this episode, to please like it and also subscribe to the show, because this show comes out every single day. When you are a subscriber, your YouTube will tell you that there's a new episode, and then you can dive right into it. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.